Hello and welcome back to CryptoNovus, where newbies become masters. My name is Chris Brown, and I'm the host of the channel. Was yesterday's dip just a simple retracement in the marketplace, or was there something more involved, some manipulation involved? In this video, we're going to take a look as to the reasons why I think there was some manipulation in the market occurring, and that definitely there were those that it was to their advantage that things happened. So stay tuned and let's take a look at the reasons why. So as I take a look at the market, Bitcoin's still hovering around 42,500, right in that range somewhere. It's not much different than it was yesterday. If we go back and we take a look at what has happened with Bitcoin in the latter half of 2021, we will see that, it peaked in the month of November at about 68, almost $69,000. It kind of wicked up to that level. But since that point, it has been basically slowly stair-stepping down, and on Monday it dropped as low as 39, just a little over 39.5. That's a loss of $29,250 or 42.5% loss from its high back in November. Now, typically, November, December were very good months for Bitcoin, back in 2017. But clearly, this bull run has a whole different characteristics and different dynamics involved with it. And this is obviously evidence as to why. If we take a closer look and we look at the Fibonacci retracement and we go all the way back to July and August when the low was around the $30,000 level, and we can see it climb all the way up to the 68, almost 69, and then come back down. We can see that it has retraced all the way back in between the 0.618 Fibonacci level and the 0.786, which is quite a bit. Now, the significance of where it is at right now is back towards the tail end of September and October. It found support at this level. And you can kind of see that about around the last 8 days of September, because this is a day chart, each candlestick represents a day, it found support and stayed there before it rallied back up to about the $64,000, $65,000 level, and then it eventually hit the 69. So I think this is probably a good place for Bitcoin to be at, to be honest with you, as well as the rest of the market. Obviously, like everybody else, I'm not really wild and excited about the fact it's retraced back this far, but I think this is a pretty safe level for it to be at, and I don't anticipate it going down much further. It certainly wicked down to that 39,500 level, which it did prior to back in September. Now, what seems to be happening here is right now, we're only about 4 days, almost a week, well, about 4 days into where it's retraced down to this level. Almost a week. It'll be a week since the 5th tomorrow. So we'll have to kind of watch and see if it's going to do a similar thing and just kind of hang out here for a week to a week and a half, or will it be a little bit longer? So the question on the table is, why do I think there was some manipulation that occurred? Well, we're going to take a look at a couple of different wallets and some purchases that were made at the tail end of last week, and actually some purchases that were made yesterday on Monday by two significant wallets, which is an illustration that somebody had something to gain here with this dip occurring. So let's go ahead and kind of take a closer look at that. So some articles came out. Some mystery Bitcoin whale suddenly buys a massive amount of cryptocurrency. Well, it really isn't a mystery whale. In terms of the actual identification, no, but you can definitely identify the actual wallet. So here, what you can see highlighted in yellow is the actual wallet. You can find this on BitInfo charts, and you can see that this particular wallet has about a little over 122,000 Bitcoin in its possession, which at the time that I did the screenshot, it was about 5.1 billion. Well, it's kind of increased a little bit more since that. So we can see here that, the 5th is when this really dip started. And you can kind of take a look here that there were 4 major purchases that were made from the 5th to the 7th by this particular wallet. So in a 5-day period of time, this particular wallet bought 1,300, a little over 1,300 Bitcoin. The average price, you can see the prices there to the right of the screen, the average price was 42,545. They bought it as low as 41,800 $43,875 and as high as $43,539. The stunning part of this is the total value of this purchase was $56 million. The point that I want to make is this is a significant wallet, a significant investor, and the question is who has $56 million just kind of sitting off to the side waiting for this scenario to happen. This is part of my belief system. I think this is planned. I don't think you just have this kind of sitting around waiting and then, oh, wow, this is a great opportunity. There's a dip. Let me buy. I think there's some calculation, especially when you're dealing with this large of a sum of money. There is some anticipation. There's some calculations as to when a buying opportunity is going to occur, and you go ahead and you strike. Then what happened with this same wallet on the 10th, which was yesterday, basically another 433 Bitcoin were purchased, again around the same price, 42,000 plus. Another $18 million was invested for a total of $74 million, a little over $74 million in Bitcoin were purchased within a week by this particular wallet. Now, granted, this isn't a Michael Saylor purchase. I mean, he's definitely been quoted and has stated that he spent about $175 million of his money to buy Bitcoin. So this is obviously a very significant investor. The identity, of course, is the mystery, whether it's a corporate entity, an individual entity, or institutional funds. I don't know, hard to say. But if you're looking to invest this amount of money at the right opportunity, you are doing some planning to do so. I mentioned there were two wallets. So when you take a look at wallet number 3, which is the one that we have been looking at, that's a little over 5.1 billion in value. Actually, it's a little bit more now. The number 1 wallet that has made the significant purchases happens to actually be a Binance cold wallet, and we'll look in more detail into that. It presently is sitting at 11.1 billion approximately, with 265,000 plus in Bitcoin. Or another way of putting it is this particular wallet contains 1.4% of all of the total Bitcoin. Binance buys the dip. I mean, this article actually came out last week. I think it was around Friday or Saturday. And as the headline reads, they bought over 43,000 Bitcoin. Not just $43,000 worth of Bitcoin. They bought 43,000 Bitcoin. So let's take a closer look as to what this means. So at 43,000 Bitcoin, the article here kind of goes into a little bit of detail. If the average price that they purchased these for was 46,553, the total value of their purchase was around $2 billion. Now you got to pause and you got to think about that for a second. This is Binance, one of the largest exchanges, third largest exchanges, one of the largest exchanges in the world. It makes a purchase of 43,000 Bitcoin, a value of $2 billion. Clearly, this was planned from my point of view. And for us as retail investors, we need to understand that this happens. This has happened, and I'll go into more detail later on. And we need to be figuring out our strategy or plan, how we're going to manage this. This our goes into a little bit more that this wallet was a cold storage wallet, as I mentioned before, and the wallet was labeled as a Binance Reserve wallet address. So clearly this belongs to Binance. So like as I was saying, there is some motivation by these larger, quote, whale type investors. This is a business, and people are going to be, wanting to make as much money as they possibly can. They're going to want to be opportunistic when they can, and they're going to want to control. And we'll take a look a little bit later as to how much control or how much control certain wallets have, not individual wallets, but the amount of Bitcoin that is contained within wallets, and why for the small retail investor, you need to understand this and be aware. So as you make your investments, whether it's in the hundreds or in the thousands or the tens of thousands or even in the hundreds of thousands, there are much bigger players in the game that you need to be paying attention to so that you don't get caught into their game and end up losing. So let's take a look at what I mean by losing and why I have stated that there was some manipulation in this particular dip. If you go to CoinGlass, you can look into and find out liquidations and what the total liquidations were. So on the 6th of January of this year, there was $534 million in combination of the shorts and the longs liquidated because the dip occurred. And we can kind of take a look at the little chart that's on the right hand side. You can see the big, huge players. Binance being the top one, the OK exchange, they were the top winners in this because they had 140 million longs and 23 million shorts liquidated. But Binance came in second. They had 104 million in longs and 30.74 million in shorts. The other big winner of this grouping was in fact FTX. When a price dips and certain trades or traders are liquidated out of the game, they've lost. And when I did a video last week a little bit on this, and at the time that I was doing this research on the 6th, in the total market there was 138,000 different traders who were liquidated. One of the things that I definitely talk about is I don't highly suggest newbies to the space to do day trading. Maybe swing trading once you get familiar with the marketplace. But day trading is extremely risky, and here's one of the reasons why. You know, one man's loss is another man's gain, and this is, I think, evidence of that. I mean, if you're sitting here losing 534 million in Bitcoin through through 8 different exchanges, you know, you got to ask the question, okay, what exactly really happened here in the last week? Like I said, this wasn't the first time this has happened. You know, back in the first part of December when there was a dip, Bitcoin at that time loses trillions of dollars in status, but more importantly, I think it lost almost 2 billion in longs. And the winners of that, take a look. Binance, they were like 611 million. OKX again was number 2, so they just kind of flip-flopped in the most recent dip. They had 581 million, and then BitMEX took the 3rd position at 120. But this wasn't the first time it happened either. So then at the beginning of November, you know, right when Bitcoin had peaked at almost 69,000, there was a liquidation because there was a dip from that price, and about 262,000 traders lost in that particular trade within one day. And again, another 2 billion worth of long positions were liquidated in less than that day. That wasn't the only time. We can go all the way back to October 27th, where 500 million longs were liquidated in just 1 hour. So when we take a look at the Bitcoin rich list, essentially this is a chart that again that's found in BitInfo charts, and you can see here by the red arrows really the balance sheets, if you will, and the number of addresses and how much dollars they actually control. So basically, if you hold Bitcoin of 10 or more, you're actually in the privileged class. You're in the basically top 85% of those addresses control 85% of the Bitcoin. I didn't quite say that right. 10 or more is really the place where you want to be. If you are 10, if you're, let's say 9, if you can see there the category wallets that hold 1 to 10 Bitcoin, you know, there's over 600,000. They have basically $71 billion worth of value in all those wallets together. But the number of coins that they actually control is 9%. The number quickly jumps from when wallet addresses that actually have 10 to 100 Bitcoin, 100 to 1,000, and then 1,000 to 10,000. Right there is the majority of where the mined Bitcoins actually are held. You can kind of see that it's almost like 70% of all of the Bitcoins are in those categories. Then you get up into the 10 to 100,000 to 100,000 to a million. Now keep in mind the 2 addresses that we were looking at are in that last category there at the bottom, 100,000 to a million. There are 4 key addresses, 4, at a value of $28.3 billion. It was that category that I think obviously had much to gain in this dip and in the dips prior to. Again, as investors, we need to be focused on our own strategy, but we also need to be aware of what's happening with the big boys. In terms of this liquidation, if you go to CoinGlass, you can find out, I just did Bitcoin, but you can find out information on this for Ethereum, Solana, DOT, XRP, Luna, Link, ADA, and you can kind of see the rest of them going across there. And this is a resource that I go to, again, to help me become aware of what's happening in the marketplace so that I can make better decisions as an investor, realizing, of course, I'm the small guy in this game, and therefore it's really important for me to watch what the big money is doing and basically follow suit. So I hope this information was helpful to you. I know it's helpful to me as an investor. Like I said, I was just doing my own research, educating myself, and said, you know what, this will be good information to share, so I want to share it. I may spend some time as the market goes through and look at some of these other ones and do some additional videos on, XRP or ADA or whatever, so that we can, again, as the CryptoNovus community, continue to become educated and, again, be wise in our investing. Again, my name is Chris Brown. I'm the host of the channel. This is CryptoNovus, where newbies become masters. I'll see you all in the next video. Have a blessed night.